Dividing polynomials.
Hey, this is going to be a good video on dividing polynomials. It's going to be a fast one because dividing polynomials is very similar to multiplying, except that you're going backwards. So just to start you guys off, remember we did this for the multiplying polynomials, right? Positive times positive is a positive, etc., etc. Well, those laws apply to division as well. So negative divided by negative is positive, positive divided by negative is negative, negative divided by positive is negative. You know this stuff already. So then, do you remember how to divide numbers? If we have positive 12 divided by positive 2, basically the question is asking you what kind of groups can 12 go into 2 times? And you know that it's positive 6. That's your answer. So how this is similar to multiplying is that 2 times 6 gives you 12. I know these arrows are super confusing, but basically you're working backwards now. You have the total and you're trying to find the 2 separate groups that gets you back into the total. Again, for this one, negative 8. That's the total. What 2 groups multiplied together will give you negative 8? Well, you know one of the group is negative 4. So this one has to be positive 2 because positive 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Let's just finish off these two. So you have positive 18 divided by negative 6. Again, 18 is the total. What multiplied to negative 6 gives you 18? Positive 18. Well, this is going to be negative 3. And finally, the last one is going to be negative 5. Okay? Negative 20 divided by positive 4. Going backwards, what multiplied to what positive 4 gives you negative 20? Negative 5. Why we need to know that? Because when we're working with algebra tiles, you can see that we're going to do exactly the same thing as what we did for multiplying, but just backwards. So here you have negative 10x squared. This is your total, or your sort of your answer for multiplication. This is going to go into the table, the one that took a lot of time when we did it for multiplication. 2x is going to be on the side again because that's one of your 2 groups. So how we use this for algebra tiles is actually not too bad. It's the same thing. We have the middle part, we have the side part. What shape can go into here now? So we have a big square, one rectangle. The only way that we can have one shape here is to fill with another rectangle. So if you look at this, here are your answers. So you can see that this one fills in there, this one also fills in there, this one fills in there, this one fills in there, and basically that's your answer. And if you want to do this without the algebra tiles method, I think it's actually easier to do without algebra tiles for this one. You're going to do the same thing for multiplication, except that you're dividing. So that means that you're going to look at the coefficients. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. X squared divided by x, this is like your power law, subtracting the exponents. So this is going to be 2 subtract 1, which is x to the power of 1, or just x. So this is a lot easier to follow. Going to the next one, we have 6z squared. So remember, this is my total. The top one is my total. That's going to be in the middle. Positive, all green squares. 2z, I have 1z and 1z. So what can go into this to get these 2 shapes? Well, the only way to get it is you're going to have something that looks like this, because this is going to be multiplied to that to get the square. This is going to multiply that to get the square. And then you just have to look at one of these ones. You don't even have to look at both rows because they have to be essentially the same anyways. So if you look at this, positive and positive, which one should I use? A positive and negative. Well, since it's positive and positive, we have to use a positive one. So let me see if I can click that box since I have all this stuff up. Oh, positive greens. So those are your positive 3x's. So answer is, now your answer is not down here, not on the side, but the one you just filled in, right? That's your answer. So that's 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be positive 3z, not square, but z. Look at this method too, algebraically. Look at the coefficient. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Z squared divided by z. This is just like your exponent law. Subtract your exponents. 2 subtract 1 is 3z. That's your answer. So you can see that this probably is a lot easier than this because you have to sort of flip-flop the shapes. And let's try another example. Now this one is a little bit more complicated because you have a bunch of things. It's not a monomial anymore. But let's try it with the same way. Let's put this top part, that's my total, in here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's your 6x squared. And then subtract 4x, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You might be asking how many rows do I need because can't I just put these down here? Well, because this one is 2x. That means I have 1x here and 1x, so you have just 2 rows, not 3 rows or 4 rows to fill in the rest. So then the next part is what shape will make this square in here? Well, you can see that it's going to be something like that, something like that, and something like that. What about here then? You have this shape and my total is like this. So you can see that here, well, it only extends here. So you're going to have one of those little tiny constant blocks for both of them. And this is my negative and this is my positive. So this one has to be negative. This one also has to be negative. So then those are your negative ones. Let me see if I can click on it. See? Bam. So then here are your answers. Well, here is your answer. So we have 1, 2, 3. That's positive 3x, not square, just x. And you have 2 negative ones, so that's negative 2. That's it. Algebraically, how do we do this? You're going to break this down. You're going to do 1 on the left side, so 6x squared. So this is basically 6x squared divided by 2x. And then on the other side, you're going to have negative 4x divided by 2x. So that's going to be like that. Okay. So then this subtraction sign is basically this one. There you go. And then you can subtract these monomials together by the coefficients first. 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared subtract or divide by x is x. Subtraction sign is going to be here. 4 divided by 2 is 2. X's will cancel out. That's your answer. It's exactly the same from there to there. If you're doing this on the test, you can always do this with the algebra tiles first, and then you can always double check your answer. Or if you have time left over, you can do this algebraically first and then use the algebra tiles. And if you have them handy in front of you, then you can just fill it in instead of me drawing all those shapes. So hopefully this dividing polynomials will help, because that concludes our polynomials unit. You have, your like terms, adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So good job. Hopefully you will do well on the test. So see you later.